Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286. Patricia and David. I always get through that part all right. And the starting of that makes the satellite picture start swirling through the screen as I create a bit of RF here. Well, what's the weather like today? It's Tuesday, the 8th of October, and we have 15 degrees again, so it's not too bad for us. 3 knots from the west-northwest, just a little bit of northerly in it. We had rain overnight. It's looking pretty black in the south, I might add, but it's reasonably a little bit of blue in the north, so we'll give it about, I think, 95% cloud cover and hope that we might get a decent day today. All right. Talking about clouds, there was a question came in yesterday. How do you report clouds? And it's always an interesting one, isn't it? I know when I was reporting, you'd look out and you'd say maybe have a big black cloud overhead, and then there'd be a bit of this clear sky, and then maybe a big bank on the horizon. Exactly how do you report cloud? Well, we do need to use the words broken and scattered. So, for example, 30% scattered would have just bits of maybe strata Q just dotting around. Broken might be, I don't know, perhaps I should pass it to the guru here. Hang on a minute.
I hate that word, guru. Good morning. Yes, Patricia's right. The general terminology for what the overall weather is are basically those three things. Either fair skies. New Zealand likes to use the word fair quite a bit, even when there is cloud. But basically, that more or less indicates no precipitation when they say that. But you have essentially scattered, broken, and overcast. Scattered sky would mean every here and there you'll see cloud, and typically it'll be cumulus cloud. And when you say broken, well, back it up. If you say overcast, that means it's cloud everywhere. But when you're looking around the horizon where you physically are, and you see 100% cloud, you would call it overcast. And that's basically stratus type of cloud. Could be nimbostratus, regular stratus, without much rain in it. The nimbo means it has rain in it, and so forth. Now, then the broken would be where there's holes in it. That's the golfers like that. They always see a patch of blue when they look up, even though it's thunder and lightning everywhere else. But broken just means that the skies are broken of cloud. So you'll see blue spots. Now, you look at the METARs, meaning the airport reports. That's what they typically use on a METARs. Those three things: broken, scattered, or overcast. And other abbreviations, you'll see RA for rain. You'll see SH for showers, TS for thunderstorms, TCU for towering cumulus. These you see in the tropics a lot. And then, depending upon the Met Service, they will give the cloud conditions for various strategic areas like Sabu Sabu or Nassori or Nandi. They'll give what they feel the cloud is going to be in those areas. So it really depends on the Met Service itself. But in general, as a yachty, if you were writing in your logbook, I would say you would use the three basic cloud indicators: broken, scattered, or overcast. And then you could add to that, if there's anything significant like thunderstorms, you could put CB for that, or TS for thunderstorm. If they're big cumulus clouds, but it hasn't turned into rain yet, but it looks like it's about to. It looks like it's about to be a thunderstorm. Then you could
Excuse me.
Towering cumulus. What's that? Do you want this back?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, I was expecting a quick comment, not a dissertation. And yes, the overall then, if it's broken, scattered, or whatever else, is just the overall percentage. Thank you, David. All right, now let's get on to more interesting stuff on where boats are, because I'll tell you what, the news content is pretty boring today. No Worries has yet to catch French Polish and Laris. Latter, French Polish and Laris are both, they're going to be holding hands on their way into Opua. 33 degrees, both of them. French Polish is at 174 and Laris is at 175. A lot of motoring going on, but anyway, they probably better than the alternative. This is a French Polish I'm talking about. They've motorsailed for the last 3 days, but they said they passed a pod of milky whales. Or am I talking about Laris? One of the two. Anyway, south-southeast, very light. French Polish is talking 5 knots southeast, 10% cloud cover, and south-southeast 10 for Laris. Barometer 1023, and sea slight. Laris said 135 to go, so that's been a pretty good passage, pretty much as forecast. So that's good, as long as you've got fuel. No Worries is a bit behind, 3227 and 17445. They had some squally weather yesterday, but not too bad. They're still doing 8 knots. They've got 10 knots of southeast, so all is well. Going the other direction, Freedom Song Gary is only 165 miles to go to Noumea. East-southeast 10, so all good for him now. 1 metre east-southeast seas, 70% cloud cover 1021. So things are going pretty well. We've had quite a few boats looking to go from Fiji to New Zealand. David will comment on that one. Muscat Cove at the morning, Jasper 2 is one of those boats. 1011 on the bar, or 1011.5, 100% overcast with raining, northeast 10 or thereabouts. Lupan had north, northeast to east, depending on the squalls. The satellite picture looks really grim from Fiji, actually. Glad I'm not there. We've had enough rain. Don't want any more for a while.
So is the radar.
So the radar looks pretty bad too. David showed me that as well. So we've got one boat going west, Port Vila to Noumea. That's, goodness gracious me, I've got a brain fade here, but that's all right. It'll come to me in a minute. And Noumea is looking pretty good on the satellite picture. And Port Vila, 3 knots, east-southeast, scattered clouds, 1013. Good morning to Eagle's Wings. All right, let's have a look at the news as it is. In Ecuador, and I know quite a few boats, so we certainly stopped for quite a while in Ecuador. You'll be interested to know, indigenous groups have taken about 50 police officers hostage in various areas around the country. The protest started when fuel subsidies ended. Boy, when we were there, remember how cheap fuel was? A 2-month national emergency has been declared by President Moreno. There have been roadblocks put up affecting fuel deliveries. They're very good at putting up roadblocks to gas stations. When we were in the Galapagos, they did that. It must have been a similar thing, but we certainly couldn't get fuel, which was pretty good because we didn't really need it. But that certainly was a pain in the neck for those that wanted fuel before we left from the Galapagos. Anyway, the fuel subsidies were costing Ecuador $1.3 billion a year, so it was just getting to the stage that they couldn't cope with that anymore. So I didn't find out what they've raised the fuel price to, but it probably certainly isn't what we have to pay here. Wikipedia, just a comment on Wikipedia. Remember that it is an open forum, and the reason I'm raising this at the moment is that there's a big fight going on between Taiwan and China. Anything to do with Taiwan and China changes every few seconds. The definition of Taiwan, for example, goes from being a state in East Asia to a province of the People's Republic of China. And there is evidently hordes on both sides, quickly changing things as they go in. And the same applies to the riots in Hong Kong, the definition of the people rioting, whether they're terrorists or whether they are, in fact, rioters wanting a bit of a change of government. Tiananmen Square history, the Dalai Lama's position, all of these things seem to be quickly changing depending on who puts them in. So it makes you think that probably we don't think of that sort of thing being so open, but it does mean that pretty much everything you look at on Wikipedia is open to abuse. I know David has muttered about that from time to time relating to his favourite subject. Okay, the Oakland Raiders beat the Chicago Bears at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now this is quite famous. I mean, it's the first time that they've had an American football game in London. They beat them 24-21, but this stadium evidently is absolutely awesome. It's recently finished. I think it got finished in April. There were over 60,000 people in there, but they are able to move the grass under the stands for them to play on what I presume is an artificial turf. Absolutely astounding stadium, evidently. Not such good news, though, for people who are on the quite luxurious train that goes from Sydney to Perth. About 100 passengers got very sick with norovirus. They had to take them off and pretty much fumigate and clean all of the carriages. Evidently, this norovirus bug gets stuck on things like carpets and walls and stuff like that. So they didn't get much for their money on that trip. We've actually been interested to go up the centre of Australia on a similar train, but I think I'll cancel that idea. A North Korean fishing boat sank after colliding with a Japanese patrol vessel. 20 crew went in the sea. It was a steel boat. They went into the sea about 350 kilometres northwest of the Noto Peninsula. That's quite a ways from Japan, actually. The patrol boat and Coast Guard and aircraft have rescued some of the crew, and they are looking for others, but I suspect that's gone by the wayside now. In Austria, I'm just trying to get news from all over the world. This isn't very good news. A family of 4, plus the ice hockey star boyfriend of the 19-year-old daughter, were all killed by a jealous boyfriend, all shot with a rifle. So these sort of nutters are all over the world. And sadly, in New Zealand, down in Dunedin, which is a big student town here, you have to be a very hardy student to go to Dunedin because it's freezing cold in winter, and student flats down there are these old drafty houses. But there is one huge old drafty house where there was a student party in the weekend. Over 200 people attended, and the organisers of the party called the police to try and end it around midnight, and that caused a stampede of people. They were jumping off the top, down the stairs, and a young girl, a maths and statistics student, 19-year-old girl, was trampled to death. This is New Zealand, folks. Unbelievable. I'm just beginning to wonder what's going on here. I'm glad I'm getting to the last end of my life. Jeez. Okay, France. A drama in France because a chef is suing the Michelin Guide as he was demoted from a 3-star to a 2-star after being wrongly accused of using cheddar in a fondue. Actually, I think he needs congratulations because if you use the traditional Swiss cheeses, it's a really boring fondue. I've always added a bit of cheese to my fondues, but anyway, that was enough to downgrade him to a 2-star, and he's psychologically impaired and suing. Well, here's something you should be doing at night time if you've got nothing to do and it's a nice clear sky. Have a good study of the International Space Station as it wanders by, because 2 of the astronauts, Christina Koch and Andrew Morgan, a male and a female, are busy swapping out the batteries. The new lithium-ion batteries are so powerful that one replaces 2, but they're pretty large, half the size of a refrigerator and 180 kilograms. So the article that I read did not say what happens to the old ones. I wonder if they just toss them into the... I bet they don't. Well, who knows? They might be part of the space junk. They probably don't want to bring them all the way home again. All right. Namibia. 5 knots from the east. Did I tell you that before? 1015. Kuhela. Thank you, Josh. 30% cloud cover. All right. That's about it from me. I don't think there's anything else that's come in. Yeah, I think I've covered everything that has come in. Thank you for the reports, folks. It's always good to know, particularly those that can't call them because they're below 30 south, to know that the forecast made over a week ago was pretty accurate. So this pod of whales, they thought it might be minkies, but I haven't heard of minky whales in the area before, but who knows? It could very well be. That's about it from me. I'll just do a pause to see if there's anybody wanting to check in. No, not at this stage. I'll give another call at the end. Here's David.
Alrighty, good morning everybody, and we'll let you off the hook. Give you a break this morning. We won't talk about the upper levels. No cheering over here.
I held my tongue.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought we'd check out, why don't we check out wave height and direction, seeing as how everybody is thinking about leaving the islands for someplace else. Pretty much most of the Southwest Pacific has swells from the southwest. I'm sure a lot of you are looking at this as well when you're doing your planning. They're about 2.5 meters on average, I'd say. But Wednesday, south of Fiji, just a wee bit south of Fiji, all the way down to about 27 south, the direction changes and the swells are going to be coming from the east. So we get easterlies about 3 meters. Now these easterlies are going to slam into the southwesterly swells right around there, right around 27 south. So this is going to create a pretty confused sea state right in that area. That's going to result, that'll be fairly uncomfortable for you should you attempt that. Okay, this should continue into Friday. When we get to the Saturday time frame, I think we're back to southwest swells, and they'll be about 3 meters. It's about average this time of the year. Now, looking at the synoptic surface chart, our New Zealand high that we've been talking about has indeed moved east. It's centered near 38 and 170 west, and it's quite strong, about a 1030 millibar. Now, in addition to that, the Tasman Sea, that's totally inundated with fronts and troughs. If you were to look at these charts, you'd see it. The depression itself really winds up. That's there. So by Thursday, it's going to lie a bit west of Cook Strait. Cold front is going to lie over New Zealand early Friday morning, and it's going to extend to Norfolk Island as well, and then north-northwest to just west of New Caledonia. So a nice arc to that cold front. Now, many of you are using this high or thinking about using it for the next passage to New Zealand. As it moves east, the winds are going to start backing. So that's pretty good news. We like to see backing winds when we're going south. But keep in mind that this next cold front may catch you up by Friday. And the next depression to invade the Tasman is going to be found east of Coffs Harbour by Sunday, which I think is the 13th. Yep, 13th. The frontal band at that point is going to strike New Zealand by late Monday the 14th. Now, the depression itself will be right over the country, over New Zealand that is, by Wednesday the 16th. So up north, unstable conditions in the tropics. The Solomon's Trough, the good old Solomon's Trough, like a broken record, runs to the Santa Cruz Islands. It skims northern Vanuatu, and it goes on from there to southern Fiji. Yet another trough parallels this one, and that crosses northern Fiji and onto Tonga, while a third trough affects Rotuma, goes sort of easterly direction, I guess you'd say, to Wallis Futuna, and it then arcs down a little bit toward Niue. And the last trough that we can see up there lies over the northern Cooks. Next to look at is Tonga. The trough over the chain is bringing pretty cloudy conditions, rain, occasional thunderstorms are being called for there. Rain could be quite heavy at times for Tonga. The weather looks to be just as bad tomorrow. Tonga Met now has issued a strong wind warning and a small craft advisory for all Tongan coastal waters, the whole chain. East to southeast winds 15 to 20, rising 25 to 30 at times, so not very pleasant. And they will be coming east to northeast. Seas about 2.5 meters there, and barometric pressures for you. You're down in Tonga Tapu, 1017.1 if you're up in Babel, 1015. So you can take a look at what your instrument has to say. Well, Fiji, as forecast, is under quite an active trough system, bringing typical cloud and rain over the entire group. So you could expect easterlies 20 to 25 knots. This is Fiji Met talking now. Easterlies 20 to 25 knots, poor visibility in areas of heavy rain and thunderstorms. I see mostly north to northeast winds, especially in the western half, northeasterly winds for the Lao. Tomorrow, I see southerlies for the western half and possibly westerlies, and then west-northwest to west-southwest for the eastern half, kind of all over the place for the eastern half. Now, radar this morning, radar loops show very heavy rain over the entire group. There's a few breaks in that, but boy, it shows a lot of return. So everything will be getting washed down pretty well, I would suspect. Fill your water tanks and all that. I would suspect heavy flood warnings to be issued, but I haven't seen them posted at all. Thursday, we should see east to southeast in the 15 knot range. So things moderate and change a little bit come Thursday. Over to Vanuatu, imagery does show cloudy conditions, and I would suspect isolated showers over the group. The trough looks to be weakening, the trough that was there. Winds have come down considerably east to southeast, about 10 to 15, with the seas down as well, about 1 to 1.5 meters. Tomorrow, east to southeast, also about 10 to 15, and might be a few areas getting up to about 20 knots. So that's Vanuatu. Newcastle looks very, very nice under imagery this morning. Mostly fair conditions. Winds in the southern lagoon, east-southeast around 15. Tomorrow, east-southeast as well. And partly cloudy tomorrow, too. Wind strength about the same. Thursday, we'll look at some very nice easterlies, right around 10 knots. And Friday, easterlies tending east-northeast around 10. Well, those winds sound attractive, don't they? That passage to New Zealand, for those of you that are in New Caledonia, looks very, very tempting. Rather nice winds, as we've just said. But I'm afraid come Sunday, watch out for that depression we're talking about, the one that is going to be well east of Hervey Bay, heading for New Zealand. It's going to be just northwest of the North Cape probably by Monday. All in that time frame. This could be a little bit faster, a little bit slower. Cyclonic winds certainly is getting well round up. By late Monday, northeast winds near Cape Brett to 30 knots or more. And it's this depression, I think, that's putting paid to the window that we talked about, possibly this week. At least last week, we talked about a good chance for a window, but I'm afraid it doesn't look so good. It's a mix. The winds are going to be a mix of light and variable in the beginning. So that looks pretty nice, and probably you'll be doing a little bit of motoring, or maybe quite a bit even, if you do leave. But then there's that oncoming depression. And like I said, it could be faster or slower than what has been modeled. We just can't seem to get a long enough period of favorable weather to say this is really a nice passage. It'll happen sooner or later. You just have to be patient. But at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be happening. So that's the story for today, tomorrow, and for a few days from then. We will keep you informed. We will keep looking for that big passage that'll be somewhat pleasant anyhow. And I hope you don't get to the point where you get depressed enough or you just decide to go. We've seen a lot of boats do that.
Still early.
Much to their regret. And as Trish said, it's still very early. This beginning of October, as she said time and time again, is never very good. So here's the chief.
And we'll see if there's anybody else. I've got Pilgrim here. They're at a place called Coraline Bay in the southern part of Malakula. We've never been there, and it sounds really delightful once you get in. They've got 1012, the odd shower, scattered cloud, and whistler, who definitely won't get the anchor up in a hurry at Nananu Thake. Rain overnight, sort of a little bit drizzly now. Showers calm 1012.8 in Fiji there, 24 degrees, 100% cloud cover, of course. And I'm just looking at the streaming. We're told that the streaming in New Caledonia anyway starts quite late. There must be a delay. Maybe they check what's being said as it goes through the system there. So we'll start the streaming a couple of minutes before we actually say anything intelligent tomorrow. All right, is there anybody with anything else? Oh, did you cover the idea of going from Fiji on Sunday to New Zealand? You didn't.
No, there's no.
Well, he doesn't think that
doesn't look good.
So I think that answers that question. And I think you explained why with what's going on. So a bit more patience required there. Anybody with anything, please call. Well, Quintessa, you are still alive, Alan. And whereabouts are you? Over? Well, I don't have a lot of noise, but I still can't copy you very well. The next time you get in the water, you'll have to give a good scrape of the old dynaplate there to make sure that you've got a good ground system. Try again where you are, Alan, or I might have to give Denise an email. Go ahead. Can you make that out?
No.
Well, thank you for the relay, because I absolutely can't get any of that. Well, we know somebody's there, but he might be 20 metres down. Go ahead, Andrew. Try again. Oh, I've got something harbour, but I'll just have to give up on that. Maybe hear you shortly on 20 metres. That might be the way to go. Yeah, it's just not very good. Actually, what I wouldn't mind, folks, if anyone could send us an email with just a report on whether our signal is better at the start of this net or at the end, because it is quite possible that we need to start a little bit earlier now that conditions are changing with the sun coming south. So if any of you, particularly the ham people who notice these things, if you could give me an idea of the propagation. It has to be a general one, because on one particular day it could be just other factors. But generally speaking, the last few days, are we better at the start or the finish, in which case we need to probably look at starting a little bit earlier. It's because I'm not copying, and usually I can copy Andrew pretty well, although lately it's been pretty grim. Everyone has been moaning about it, but we'll just have a look at what we could do possibly to improve it. So sorry, Andrew, I'll try you later and see what happens. We'll just stand by, but otherwise I think we'll give up on this morning and leave you with the frequency. Gold Harbour Radio. Cheers all. Back tomorrow. We're standing by. Thank you.